3 nights before her wedding, Emily Hayes followed the man she was about to marry into the woods outside their small town. What she found that night would destroy everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and family. It began with a quiet suspicion, one she almost talked herself out of. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. For months, everyone said she was lucky. Alex Reed was the kind of man any woman would dream of marrying. Charming, patient kind. He helped neighbors shovel snow in the winter, brought her mom flowers just because, and called her his miracle. After losing her father 2 years earlier, Emily hadn't thought she'd ever love again. But when Alex walked into her life, he felt like healing in human form. They'd been together just 6 months when he proposed. Too soon, her best friend Megan warned. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was meant to be. It wasn't until the week before the wedding that the first crack appeared. Alex had always worn a pendant, a small black stone on a silver chain. He said it belonged to his late mother and never took it off. But lately, she noticed something strange. Every night at 8 p.m., he'd step outside for exactly 15 minutes. No phone, no conversation, just silence in the dark. When she once teased him about it, his expression changed, tight, defensive. "It's just something personal," he'd said quietly. "Something I'd do to feel close to her." She let it go. But the night she woke up at 1 a.m. and found his side of the bed cold, that's when the unease started to grow roots. Through the window, she saw him walking toward the woods behind their home, the silver chain around his neck catching the porch light. And even then, she almost convinced herself it was nothing. The next morning, when she asked, he smiled and kissed her forehead. "You worry too much," he whispered. But his eyes looked tired, haunted even. 2 nights later, she decided to follow him. She didn't tell Megan. She didn't tell her mother. She just waited until he slipped out again, barefoot on the old gravel path, a flashlight in her hand and her heart pounding so loudly she thought it might give her away. The deeper she went, the quieter everything became. The hum of crickets faded. The air grew colder. The moonlight filtered through branches like shards of glass. She thought of all the stories her grandmother used to tell about the woods behind Miller's Creek, strange lights, unexplainable sounds, the kind of tales people laugh about until they're standing there in the dark. Emily stopped when she heard voices, 2 men, low and urgent. She turned off her flashlight and crouched behind a tree, straining to listen. "Are you sure she doesn't know?" one voice said. It was older, rougher. "She suspects nothing," Alex replied. Emily's stomach dropped. "She asks questions," Alex continued, his voice breaking slightly. "But I told her enough to keep her calm." The older man exhaled. Then it settled. "After the ceremony, we bring her to the place. The binding will be complete." Emily pressed a hand to her chest. "A ceremony? A binding? I can't do this," Alex said suddenly. "Dad, she's innocent. She doesn't deserve." "Enough," the older voice snapped. "You know what happens if you don't. You turn 25 next week. If the ritual isn't done, you'll die. I won't lose my son like your mother." The silence that followed felt endless. Finally, Alex whispered, "She trusts me. God, she trusts me." "Then keep it that way," his father said coldly. "If she finds out before the ceremony, it's over. The curse won't lift. You'll both be lost." Emily's breath caught. Curse, death, sacrifice. Her entire body went numb. When the 2 men walked away, she waited until their voices vanished, then stumbled backward, hitting her knee against a rock. Pain shot through her leg, but she barely felt it. She needed to get home. She needed to think. That night, she sat awake until dawn, staring at the ring on her finger. The man she loved, the man she was supposed to marry in 3 days, was planning something horrifying. But she couldn't understand why. Alex wasn't cruel. He wasn't capable of this, was he? By morning, she had made her decision. She wouldn't run, not yet. She needed the truth from his own mouth. When Megan stopped by to help with decorations, Emily forced a smile. "Do you believe people can be cursed?" she asked suddenly. Megan frowned. "Cursed? Like bad luck?" "More than that," Emily said quietly. "Like something passed down. Something you can't escape. Megan laughed awkwardly. You've been watching too many documentaries again. Maybe she had. Or maybe she'd been blind this whole time. The next evening, the night before the wedding, Alex came by with his father, James Reed. The older man carried a box wrapped in linen. A family heirloom, he said. A gift for the ceremony. His eyes lingered on Emily longer than comfort allowed. Something in his gaze made her skin crawl. That night, she barely slept. Every sound outside made her flinch. By 11 p.m., she couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed her flashlight again and slipped out the back door. If Alex was hiding something, she was going to find it. And this time, she wasn't turning back. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The night before her wedding, Emily Hayes stood at the edge of the woods again, flashlight trembling in her hand. Somewhere beyond those trees waited the truth she could no longer ignore. Each breath of cold air felt heavier than the last. The house behind her glowed faintly in the distance, a reminder of the life she was supposed to begin tomorrow. But she wasn't sure she'd live to see it. She followed the same narrow path Alex had taken before. The ground was slick with dew, and branches scraped her shoulders as she moved deeper into the dark. The silence was complete, no crickets, no wind, only the sound of her own heartbeat. Then, faintly, voices. She crouched behind an old oak and saw them. Alex, his father, and nearly a dozen others, standing around a massive tree whose bark shimmered under the moonlight. The same black stone that hung from Alex's neck glowed in his hand. James Reed spoke first. Brothers and sisters of the bloodline, the time has come. 3 generations have suffered this curse, and tonight it ends. Emily's pulse roared in her ears. The group began to chant, low and rhythmic, words she couldn't understand. When Alex stepped forward, his face looked drained of color. He held the pendant like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Wait, Alex said. She doesn't deserve this. She's innocent. His father's voice hardened. You know the cost. Without the binding, you die when the new moon rises. The curse consumes the sun as it did your mother's brothers. Do you want that fate? Alex's hand shook. There has to be another way. James turned toward him, eyes blazing. There's no other way. Emily gasped before she could stop herself. Head snapped in her direction. Alex spun around, his eyes wide with disbelief. Emily? She bolted. Branches whipped her face as she ran, but before she reached the clearing's edge, strong hands caught her. Alex was shouting something behind her, pleading, but it was his father who dragged her back into the light. The others circled them silently. James Reed stared at her, voice cold as stone. You shouldn't be here. Then tell me what this is, she demanded. Tell me why you were going to kill me. Alex stepped forward, desperate. Emily, please listen. It's not what you think. You were going to sacrifice me, she cried. How is that not what I think? His voice cracked. Because I was trying to save us. All of us. The air felt thick, almost humming with energy. Emily's flashlight flickered and went dark. One of the women in the circle lifted a carved staff, its top shaped like twisted roots. The binding cannot be broken, she intoned. If she knows, it fails. She knows, Alex said hoarsely. So maybe that's the point. His father seized him by the collar. Don't you dare. You'll doom us all. But Alex wrenched free. You doomed us the moment you chose lies over love. Emily stared, trying to understand. What curse? What are you talking about? James looked at her with something almost like pity. Our ancestor took something sacred from these woods centuries ago. The spirits cursed our line. Every son must marry before 25 and seal the union with an innocent who knows nothing of the curse. Her life binds the bloodline to the living world. Her death keeps us alive. Emily shook her head slowly. You kill women to save yourselves. Not kill, James said quietly. Transfer. Their spirit remains between worlds. Alex's voice cut through the night. It's killing, Dad, and I won't do it. The air trembled. The chanting stopped. The woman with the staff turned toward Emily. "There is another path. It was written long ago, confession and willing choice. But no bride has ever chosen to stay once she learned the truth." Emily's chest tightened. "So if I choose it willingly, what happens?" "No one knows," the woman said. "It has never been done." James barked a laugh. "You think love can outwit a curse? Foolish." But Emily wasn't listening to him anymore. She looked at Alex, terrified, broken, yet still the man who had brought her coffee every morning, who listened to her stories about her father, who said she made him believe in good things again. The same man who had been willing to die rather than lie to her another day. She whispered, "I heard you that night. You said you loved me enough to live 3 more days. Do you still?" Alex nodded, tears streaking his face. "More than my own life." "Then tell me what happens if I choose." His voice shook. "If you speak the binding words in front of that tree, you take the curse into yourself. You might die, or worse. But they say if it's done willingly, it could break the curse forever." "And if we don't?" "I die before the new moon." Silence. Even the forest seemed to hold its breath. Then Emily stepped forward, lifting her chin. "Then we try." James shouted, "No," but Alex grabbed her hand. "You don't have to do this." "I know," she said softly. "That's why I'm choosing to." Together they approached the ancient tree. The ground pulsed faintly beneath their feet. Emily could feel warmth radiating from the bark, as if something alive waited inside. The woman with the staff raised it high. The willing binding begins. Alex removed his pendant and placed it at the tree's base. His skin turned ashen, veins darkening like ink spreading through water. He screamed, falling to his knees. Emily knelt beside him, clutching his hands. "I'm here. I'm not leaving." The woman's voice echoed. "Speak the words." Emily looked into Alex's eyes, then up at the sky. "I accept the curse freely," she whispered. "I take it willingly. I bind myself knowingly. Let my choice break what fear created. Let love transform what pain sustained." Light erupted from the tree, white and blinding. The circle of people staggered backward as wind howled through the clearing. Emily felt herself being lifted, her body weightless. Voices, hundreds of them, whispered all around her, ancient and sorrowful. "Daughter of man," they said as one. "You come willingly?" "I do. For generations, unwilling hearts have been taken. You give freely." "Yes." There was a long pause. Then the voices spoke again. "A willing vessel cannot be bound. Love offered without fear transforms all that it touches. The curse is broken." The light flared once more and then vanished. Emily crashed to the ground, gasping for air. Alex knelt beside her, his skin returning to its normal color, the dark veins fading until they were gone. He held her face in his hands. "You're alive." "So are you," she whispered. All around them, the others were touching their chests, removing their pendants in disbelief. One by one, the black stones crumbled to dust. James Reed stared at his hands, eyes wide with awe and terror. "It's gone." The woman with the staff lowered it slowly. "The bloodline is free." Alex helped Emily to her feet. The ancient tree, once dark and scarred, now looked reborn, its bark pale, its branches full of leaves that shimmered softly in the moonlight. Even the air felt lighter, warmer, as though the woods themselves could finally breathe. James fell to his knees. "I've lived my life in fear," he murmured. "I thought sacrifice was the only way." He looked up at Emily. "You proved me wrong." Emily took Alex's hand. "No, love did." The group dispersed silently, leaving the two of them beneath the glowing canopy. For the first time since that night began, Emily felt peace. She turned to Alex. "Promise me something. Anything. Live with truth. Always. Don't hide from it again." He nodded. "I promise." 6 months later, the woods behind their home were no longer feared. Families walked there again. Children played beneath the trees, and people spoke of the night the curse was lifted. Some called it legend, others faith. Emily called it a choice. On the anniversary of the wedding that almost wasn't, Alex and Emily stood together beneath, that same tree now their place of peace. He slipped a simple silver band onto her finger. No amulet, no secrets. For the rest of my life, he said. She smiled. And beyond. The wind moved gently through the leaves, carrying with it a sense of quiet completion. Somewhere deep within the forest, the voices that once cried for freedom now whispered only gratitude. And as they walked home hand in hand, Emily thought about how love, when chosen in truth, could turn even the darkest curse into light. Before you go, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos.